Streets take us places, and their names help us know where we are. But in downtown Castle Rock, street names can take us into the past and tell stories of the local history. Castle Rock, Colorado is a modern town recognized by its distinctive landmark along the I-25 corridor. In the 19th century, the lure of gold brought settlers to the region, but it was the discovery of rhyolite that put Castle Rock on the map. The streets running east and west in downtown Castle Rock are numbered. Streets running north and south have names, often bearing the names of the town's original benefactors.
These people that helped settle Castle Rock and lived here for generation after generation were very dedicated to their community.
Born in Providence, Rhode Island, Jeremiah Gould served in the Civil War and then came west for a fresh start. Uncle Jerry's cabin was a popular stopping place for campers moving through the valley. In 1874, Jeremiah Gould donated 120 acres of land to be known as Castle Rock. John Craig came to Colorado in 1859 searching for gold. In 1865, he homesteaded in the Plum Creek Valley, where East and West Plum Creeks combine. At the time, his homestead was known as Round Corral. Today, it's known as Sedalia. In 1874, he moved to Castle Rock, and along with friend Jeremiah Gould, helped lay out the original town plot. He and Gould donated land for the neighborhood that still bears their names. In 1862, Samuel Hitt Halbert left Nebraska for Colorado. In 1873, President Ulysses Grant appointed Halbert as the governor of the Colorado Territory. That same year, Halbert negotiated a treaty with the Ute Indians to allow for some of the Ute land to be accessed for railroads and mining operations. Grateful miners named the highest peak in the Rocky Mountains Mount Halbert in his honor. Philip P. Wilcox came to Colorado from Philadelphia. He opened a cattle ranch outside of Franktown. He served as judge and attorney in Douglas County and in 1875 donated 80 acres to the expanding town's northern boundary, including the famous rock itself. James Dowden Perry crossed the prairies in 1860 to start one of the first cattle brands recorded in Colorado. James and his wife Sarah settled on a small farm just north of Sedalia, well known for its produce, and was a regular stop for travelers to and from Littleton. Castle and Front Streets were named due to their proximity to Plum Creek and the rock itself. Wolfensberger Road and Wolfensberger Hill were named after early settler Jacob Wolfensberger, who in the late 1800s had a small ranch on the hillside bearing his name. One of the town's early residents, S.W. Cantrell, started the town's first cheese factory in 1878. The OK Cheese Factory processed 6,000 pounds of milk into 600 pounds of cheese daily. While serving as U.S. Marshal, Ray Lewis was fatally shot on February 14, 1946 by Manuel Perez, an 18-year-old fugitive from Denver. Lewis was killed while preventing Perez from leaving the B&B Cafe in downtown Castle Rock. People still go to the cafe to see the bullet holes in the ceiling.
Ray Lewis was the town marshal, and at the time the town marshal was not armed. So of course the story at the B&B is that a fugitive from Denver who had attacked policemen in Denver was in the building, and it was about 3 days later, but apparently his photograph was known and he was recognized. They called Ray Lewis, the town marshal, to come, and unfortunately the fugitive was armed and he was not, so he was killed in the B&B in 1946. So if you go into the B&B Cafe, of course, there's a bullet hole still in the tin ceiling, and also behind the counter there's another nick in the cabinets behind the counter.
David N. Gilbert was a former Castle Rock mayor who served on the Douglas County Board of County Commissioners. Pete Burgess moved to Castle Rock as a youth so his father could work in the South London mine near Fairplay. He served his community as fire chief, president of the Lions Club, and eventually mayor of Castle Rock from 1964 to 1973. Burgess and his sister Frances donated a large amount of their family estate to the pool fund. J.B. Mammon was county clerk in 1924, and he partnered with J.H. Wolzen to run a grocery store in Franktown. In 1858, David Kellogg was prospecting for gold along East Plum Creek when he saw the distinctive butte. He wrote in his diary that on Christmas Eve of 1858, he and fellow travelers climbed to the top of the mesa, fired their guns, and named the formation Castle Rock.
Castle Rock needs to keep its history because you learn from history and you understand what people did to make this town for us and all the sacrifices they went through.
The town of Castle Rock honors these founders and benefactors by keeping their names alive. These streets don't just tell us where we are, they also remind us where we were.